Hey, Mike, it's me, Ian. And in today's video, I'm going to look at this film. It is Villain from 1971. And this is a film that Tony sent to me through Amazon. And what a fantastic film. And it's really kind of you, Tony. Thank you so much for doing this. The film, well, it's a drama, crime thriller. It's 98 minutes long. It's 67% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I suppose isn't too bad. It's a British film. It's based on a novel, The Burden of Proof, by James Barlow. They were sent a script worked on by Al Letterie. Oh, I think that's how you pronounce it. Who was in The Godfather, right? The Godfather, yes. He also had real life associations with gangsters, so yeah, that sort of about him. But it was taken on board and adapted by Dick Clement and Ian LaFrenne. Now, they were writers who are now associated with The Likely Lads, which was a massive TV series, and Porridge. Fantastic. And they brought their own take on this film, adapting the script. And it's got a wonderful feel to it, the script. It's a high-quality script, definitely. I think that's why they were able to attract such quality cast, to be honest. I think the cast is amazing. It's a good British cast. Represents the best, definitely. Fantastic. Now, the producers of this film are interesting as well. We've got Alan Ladd Jr. and his associate Jay Cantor involved. Now, Alan Ladd Jr. was son of the legendary Alan Ladd actor, but also Alan Ladd Jr. built up a reputation as a producer. And of course, Star Wars immediately jumps out on that. Another producer involved was Elliot Kastner. I think it's Kastner, yeah. Now, he was a producer of Where Eagles Dare. Yes, I love Where Eagles Dare. What a fantastic war. It's one of my all-time favourite war films. It really is. Fantastic film. That's from 1968. And of course, who stars in that? Yes, Richard Burton. Yes, with Clint Eastwood, of course. How could I forget that? And then he was a producer of a favourite film of mine. We are doing well here. Angel Heart, 1987. Yes. Oh, Angel Heart. What a film. What a film that is. Fantastic. Now, this is directed by Michael Chukner. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's his debut director. He was a TV, involved a lot in TV work, but this is his first feature film. And the films that he produced are quite interesting, which I like. Fear is the Key. I might have mentioned this before. It's Alistair MacLean's story, and I absolutely love it. It's from 1972. That era when Alistair MacLean books were being adapted into films. Fear is the Key. Great film. Also, interesting, here we are, Likely Lads. He did the film version of The Likely Lads, and you see the connection with the script writers. And then he did a really interesting film, Wilt, 1989. It's a really kind of quirky Really interesting, wonderful film from 1989. And as I remember, Mel Smith is in this. Mel Smith, great. Smith and Jones TV series, but Mel Smith is a very interesting character. I know he was in Wilt. Anyhow, now this took 10 weeks of shooting. Elstree Studios, location work, London, Brighton, Bedford, Bracknell. So the location's great. So you get a nice flavour of, which I love, of 1970s Britain. I just love seeing that. It's because of nostalgia. My just loving this period. I really love this period. And it's great to see it on film. Yeah, great. Now, um, just a few little trivia facts that Richard Burton had never played a gangster, and he was very happy to do it. And he took no salary for this film. He just wanted a percentage. Fantastic. Yeah. Fortunately for him, he made money. In Britain, it did. It made plenty of money. Not so much in America. The Americans weren't quite so keen. It's not really their thing. This gangster kind of, their gangster films were the like Godfather and what have you. So they didn't quite connect in the same way, but and that's all right. Richard Burton was really happy with this film. I think really happy. It was a good period in his life as well, and yeah, I'll get onto that as well about his performance. So let's get through the cast. Richard Burton, of course, as I say, is the starring role. He plays the gangster Vic Dakin. Now, Richard Burton is, I think, an amazing actor who you always feel never fulfilled his full potential for a lot of reasons. It's well known that really he was an alcoholic. His health wasn't too good. And then there was his, well, public, his relationship with Elizabeth Taylor. It was like a bit of a soap opera. But it was on and off, and it was quite a tempestuous relationship. And that made the headlines. But he was such a well thought of actor in terms of theatre. He was compared with Laurence Olivier at one time in that great tradition. And he was a great actor, and there's no doubt about it. And he, well, like Olivier, he went into films. And he did make some great performances in films, but I don't think they quite feel in the same way in terms of recognition of his roles. As I say, he was in films like The Robe, going back in his early career, 1953, which is a great film. And, of course, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf from 1966. I know this is like a theatrical adaptation of a film, because he was with Elizabeth Taylor. That relationship, it's so key in his life. Elizabeth Taylor was in that. And he was also in Equus 1977, which I love. Again, that is based on a play, which is a great film. Something really special about that, and his performance is outstanding. And of course, his last screen feature film performance is in 1984, which came out in 1984. He's superb in that. He is, and it's his last film performance. It's kind of a sadness sometimes when you see Richard Burton, because you think he really should have had more real, I don't know. I mean, he is recognised, but you feel he could have really got even higher in what he did. But he had all those things, as health issues as well through his alcoholism, and he died far too young, and his tempestuous relationship. But this, when he was filming, um, was quite a happy period, I think, for him. Elizabeth Taylor was filming as well in London, so they were both together. She was in, there's some pictures of on set here in this film, and it was good. And we got a good, really outstanding performance from him, which is really good. I think that really elevates the film, really does elevate it. It's fantastic. Um, so we've got that. I'll go into the other cast members, and what a great British cast we have here. We've got Ian McShane. I think he's taking second billing here. He plays Wolfie. Wolfie is an important part of this film as well. Um, Ian McShane, he's wonderful long career, and he's still relevant actor today. He's still doing it. He was famous, of course, doing TV, Lovejoy, which was a massively long, big TV series from 1986 to 1994. It was big. It was a big TV series, Lovejoy. And then he had sort of a revival, to some extent, in Deadwood between 2004 and 2006. And that was quite a radical TV series. It was a great series, really, which sadly got cancelled. But of course, he appeared in another series which is very popular, American Gods, 2017 to 2021. So he had a good TV career, but his films are interesting. He was in, I always put films that I like, but he was in Battle of Britain, 1969. So just before this sort of period, on and off in various British films going back. And then he was in a very important British gangster film, which is interesting because this is a gangster film. He was in Sexy Beast, which is from the year 2000. That is quite an important British gangster film, very well thought of. And then, of course, I just have to say 2 words. John Wick. He's in the John Wick films. Important part of John Wick films as well. So he's been playing the John Wick films since 2014, 2017, 2019, and of course, 2023. This year, we've had John Wick 4. Hey, there it is. I love all the links and say going back to this film. So he is a very important part of this film. You realize what a good actor he is as well. Excellent. And he plays off, and he has got a lot of respect for Richard Burton. You can see because there's an interview on this Blu-ray edition, and it's full of affection for Richard Burton, and they got on well, and it's just great. In this film as well, he plays an interesting role. He's the bisexual lover of Richard Burton. Now, it's interesting that homosexuality had not been portrayed much in films, and it is often it had been portrayed, but the image of homosexuality was very sort of still at this time something very discreet, something very but of course we learn with the craze. Of course, one of the craze. He was, I don't know which one, I don't know totally about the craze. And here we have, I think that's why they say that this is based on one of the craze. Vic Dakin is himself not repressed, but he's an homosexual, and he lives with his mum, absolutely dotes on his mum, and he plays this role so well. It's fantastic. It really is. Then let's me look at the other actors. We've got Nigel Davenport playing Bob Matthews. He's one of the police detectives, very important in the chase of actually getting his man, the gangster, um, Vic Dakin. He was in a lot of historical. He's got a theatrical background as well. Man for all Seasons, great film, 1960s. I love these historical ones. Mary Queen of Scots, 1971, was in that. Also, he was in Zulu Dawn, yeah, the Zulu sequel, 1979. He's great in this film. And then we've got Donald Sindon. He plays Gerald Draycott in this film, another great British actor, theatrical tradition as well. He was in Day of the Jackal, which is an important film. That's from 1973. In TV terms, he was involved in a lot of TV programs, but he was in a quite established TV series, comedy, Never the Twain. That ran from 1981 to 1991. So it's 10 years, which is massive. I know it was on ITV. Massive series for primetime TV. Did well there. So he plays well. Then we've got Fiona Lewis, who plays Venetia. I loved looking at her films. Here we have, she was in The Fearless Vampire Killers from 1967. That Polanski's in that as well. We've got Dr. Fives Rises Again from 1972. Vincent Price. Vincent Price, what a legend. He was in that film, but she's in that film. And then another really interesting film I like, Inner Space, 1987. Very good film, that. Yeah, she's in that. Then we've got to find some Doctor Who connections, and I might have found one here. Yes, T.P. McKenna. I don't know why it's called T.P., but there he is. He's an Irish actor. He plays Frank Fletcher, and he's a very interesting roles that he played in TV and films. Not always major roles, but he's in there. Notably, Straw Dogs, which is a fantastic film of this period as well. Interesting. 1971. Then here's my Doctor Who connection. He's in the 25th season, last story of the 7th Doctor, of his second season, but it's the 25th season, and as 1988 to 1989, the greatest show in the galaxy, which could well be one of those real great stories that in Doctor Who, which gets more recognition as over time, and I think it has. It's a very interesting story. Anyway, he was in that, so there we are. I knew, as soon as I saw him, I thought, yes, Doctor Who, and I was right. I checked it up. Yeah, I thought I'd seen him. Then I think another interesting part of this is that Colin Whelan is in the cast. He plays Tom Binney. He's Neo, the detective. On the trail of their getting the gangster. He, of course, famously was in Kes. Hey, by heck, Kes. I have to say, hey, we got a Yorkshire film here. By heck, we have. Hey, 1969. Watch it. Hey, Kes. No, it's a classic, is Kes. There's Brian Glover in Kes as well. And, it brings out the Yorkshireman in me. Hey, by heck, it does. Yeah, Kes, what a film. I must get that for my collection, actually. I've seen it quite a lot of times, but I haven't actually got it. I won't get that. And then we've got He was in Straw Dogs. Yes, he was in Straw Dogs. Fantastic. Um, and also he was in. Now, here's an interesting connection. He was in the Sweeney movie. Yeah, the very first Sweeney movie. Sweeney, of course, in a way, is very. You can feel that link with this. You know, the TV series came as well in the early 70s. The Sweeney movie was later in 1977. But yeah, that. But he also, Colin Welland was a very talented guy. He was a writer as well. And his famous film script was, of course, Chariots of Fire, 1981. That's an iconic British film. He was the writer of that. Fantastic. So, what is this film about? We finally get there. This film is about the gangster Vic Dakin, who has got this job lined up. It's a difficult one. They're going to raid a wages van, and he gets in his team together, and they're going to do it. Some of the other local gangster heads are involved. They all meet up and decide they're going to do this. But of course, on their trail, and they're determined to get it, is the two detectives, and they will get him, and they're trying to use various ways and methods. And that's how the film unfolds. And we get to see the life of Vic, the gangster, what he's like. And he is a violent thug. He really is. He's vicious. And it's interesting that the film doesn't shy away from that. This is a period where censorship is, well, it's starting to lose a lot of its stranglehold over films, because the X certificate is now in, and it's allowing more violence. And you can see the sexual side straight away. I mean, breasts are straight in. And also, this is interesting because this film, you don't often see it. It shows that the homosexual side as well, which I talked about earlier. So you see in that as well. It's a very sort of more open period in films just beginning. And we saw Straw Dogs, for instance, as you know, had a lot of problems with the censors. And that is a very violent film. And this is. It reflects that period in time, as I say. The Cray thing and all that. There was a fascination in this country with these gangsters, and this is us in Britain presenting to the world, whereas, you know, a lot of people look at America and see their versions of gangsters, but this is ours, and this tradition has continued with that fascination of these kind of films, and it's done so well. You see, somebody said, I think on the extras, that also this film is about the class in this country. It is, and it's still kind of relevant today. You see it, the corruption in high places. MP, there's the MP in here. He's corrupt, and it's sleazy. Yes, it's sleazy. Doesn't that sound very familiar to nowadays? It's still going on, this kind of stuff. You know, this British gangster films. We've got Get Carter. I think that's 1971 as well. That is very much in this vein. Oh, and before that, there's Performance, 1970. There's Mick Jagger in that one. That's a very sort of gangster oriented film. And of course, it leads up to the Long Good Friday in 1980, which is another classic film. And as I say, I mentioned it earlier, Sexy Beast of year 2000. It's all in this tradition. This film, I think, at the time, it did well in this country, as I said. But some of the critics, I think, particularly in America, were not that keen on it. But in this country, I think we got it, and they reflected that. And of course, you've got Richard Burton doing a wonderful performance. It just really elevates the film. And Ian McShane, I have to talk. I love the way Ian McShane talks. He's a very smart man. And in this interview, he talks about it with great affection, and I really like that. That's why the extras are so good on this film. I highly recommend this film. Okay, it's not my horror films, but there's a lot of good films, and this film is fantastic. I love it. I love a good film, and I like to see things in historical context, and how great actors elevate films. And this has the script, which is excellent, and it's got great actors who bring out the best of that script. You can't ask for anything further than that, can you? Just a quick look. Here's the film. There it is. In a slipcover as well. This is a lovely Studio Canal release. It really is. And there's the back of the slipcover. That's I love this. Absolutely love that image. And in here we've just got the standard disc with that image on the disc. The extras, as I say, are really good. And the highlight for me is the interview with Ian McShane. Great interview. So, that's it. What a film. If you're new to the channel, then please subscribe. If you've liked it and you're still here, please subscribe and look at the other things I do. And it'd be great. Well, it might not be. You might not be so happy. If you've liked this, please give it a like. It helps get it out into algorithms, and so hopefully more people will enjoy it. And it all costs note. You can't say further than that nowadays. I'll tell the cost note. And if you've got any comments, please put your comments. I love to hear your comments. And that's it, really. All I've got to say is, I'll see thee again.